Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and I had recently taken a look at the lineup 9 rounds that Waxy was a judge for, and we've also been taking a look at her commentary and review of the battles, and I am totally here for this. I love listening to her commentary because I feel like I learn a lot, as well as you guys also provide incredible insight to me as well, just based on lineup past and other battles that Waxy and other competitors are affiliated with. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and take a watch. She does have a special guest today. She's JEMIN! JEMIN just won lineup 9's whacking section. Wow. I'm excited. I can't believe you caught it. That's impressive. Yeah. Oh my god, we get to look at JEMIN versus Jim. God, that was probably one of my favorite battles. Me too.
일단 저는 이번 라인업 때 뭔가 저 스스로 느낀 게 대단하다. 이런 느낌이 들었던 게 한 번도 쉬운 건 아닌데 한 번은 그래도 뭔가 얻어질 수 있잖아요. 뭔가 내가 많이 노력을 하고 뭔가 운도 있고 이런 상황이 잘 맞으면은 딱 얻어지는데 이게 저는 유지하는 걸 넘어서 이제 한 번 더 하는 게 진짜 어려운 거라고 생각을 하는데 제가 부끄럽지만 세븐 때 1등을 한 번 하고 이렇게 두 번 1등을 하니까 뭔가 개인적으로 되게 기분이 좋았고 여기 옆에 계시는 왁시 누나께서도 너무 대단한 게
And Waxy's also won a lineup as well.
나인 때도 정말 이 부산에서 무슨 일이 일어났는지 저는
Wow.
네, 진짜
She was also a judge for 7 too. Okay. Let me say this. Some people may be like, oh, that must be why he got her vote, is because she and him are both from Busan and she was a part of the judging panel for 7. Like, no, like, please don't think like that, because for me, I kind of feel like a lot of times people will take digs at judges or at people who are in that role of trying to be a sense of an adjudicator or having some sense of influence and choices whenever something doesn't go their way. But they always tend to validate the judge whenever things go the way that they personally feel. So it's a very fascinating niche of skill set. And so for me, I think Waxy made pretty great calls. I made very, very similar calls, and I'm not a battle judge, but I do have judging experience of kind of knowing what to look for. Just an overview when you look at dance in general, what are some things that overlap between the battle scene and the choreography scene, and JEMIN did all of those things plus some, and he had some incredibly tough competitors, and I'm so excited that we get to look at some of this, because I would say Golden Hour was, oh my god, dying over here about that. I hope she gets married on here too. Yes.
산을 넘어서 에베레스트 산을 넘고
It's like Everest, and he did it twice.
많은 산을 넘어야 되는, 그래서 진짜 대단한 것 같아요.
그래서 이번에도 재민이가 엄청난 산들을 많이 넘었거든요.
Yes.
16강에는
에이비주라는 산을
우와.
넘었고 8강에서
빅터라는 산을 넘고
우와.
해외 배틀을 한 번 하고 4강을 갔는데
Jim?
짐이라는
우와.
산을 넘고
마지막에 누구야?
마리드라는
우와.
산을 넘어서 이제 딱
Banger after banger, and Marid had already won 2 lineups.
의상 비하인드도 있는데
얘기해봐봐.
제 이전의 라인업 때 영상을 한번 봤거든요. 의상이 다 약간 진짜 7, 8 때 옷 보면 진짜
Oh my god!
그래서 이번에는 좀 약간 이렇게 서 있기만 해도 제 옷 진짜 예쁘다.
That is so cool. Like a tuxedo jellyfish.
근데 웬걸 노래가 그런 게 안 나오고.
No, that's true. They
진짜
didn't.
산이에요. 내 계획대로 안 되고 역경을 이제 막 이겨내는 그런 일이 있었답니다. 진짜 웃기죠?
진짜 잘했어요. 그래, 지금부터 한번 볼까요? 재민이의 리뷰를 시작하도록 하겠습니다. Let's go.
Let's
근데 누나
go!
저 진짜 저한테 가혹한 사람이거든요.
네.
We all are.
저를 비판할 수도 있어요, 제가. 100점부터 시작해요, 저 스스로. 보다가
처음부터? 야, 너무 센데?
보다가 마이너스 10점. 턴 삐끗해서 5점.
와, 진짜 완전 엄격하다.
이런 사람입니다, 제가.
와,
저 긴장하는 거 보이세요? 지금?
너무 보여. 둘 다 이게
Insane. That's what made it so incredible though.
댓글을 좀 많이 봤는데 그런 댓글 좀 꽤 있더라고. 아까 이 노래 뭐냐? 근데 그거 좀 해명 좀 해드릴게요. 댄서들한테는 이
Yeah.
노래 같은 노래예요.
맞아요.
맞죠? 그러니까는 사람들이 디스코만 나올 거라고 예상을 해서 더 그런 건지 모르겠지만 저는 딱 보면 알겠지만 나오자마자 DJ를 보잖아. 그러니까 이 정도로 이 댄서들한테는 너무 좋은 노래를 틀어준 거여서 아마 딱 노래 듣자마자 재민이도 이러지 않았을까라는 생각을.
Okay, before we get into Jimin's set, so a lot of people they dog Red Bull Dance Your Style for the same thing. But for me, whenever it comes to this, I think first you have who's the DJ? Wizard. Wizard is respected in the whacking scene. You know what I mean? He's done time in the scene. He's contributed to victories for Korea, you know? And what I find interesting though is that I always admire whenever these types of song choices are coming out to play in battles, because that is a true test of an artist's toolkit. Because if somebody trains solely on the comfort styles of genre music, which is a respectable thing to do, and you don't branch out, then a lot of times you can kind of stifle yourself in your training. That's something I experienced with waving. If I only dove into just the waving go-to style of tracks, that I didn't dive into R&B, or I didn't go and pursue other genres that I normally wouldn't dance to, then I wouldn't grow as an artist, and I'd kind of just stay in my comfort zone. So for me, this is a fantastic opportunity for us as an audience and viewers to see how much of a technician these individuals are and how captivating they can be in showcasing the beauty and art of whacking. To me, with this song and with Flashlight, those two, in this entire lineup series of battles with whacking, I truly feel like I got to see an exchange between the two individuals instead of just a battle. I tend to prefer exchanges over battles anyway, but that's a completely side topic we could talk about later. But that's probably one of my favorite things about this battle was the song choice and the fact that Wizard thought it was the most appropriate thing to do in semis, as it should be, because you're given 2 rounds. And they were given, I think, a popping track too. Both were, which is even more wild to me. And we got Marit's, my favorite round of the entire whacking session from her, from doing it and dancing on a popping track. Wild to me.
진짜 잘한다. 근데 너는 진짜 잘한다.
여기 좋아요.
이야.
He's probably talking about his feet, maybe. I'm gonna let him criticize himself.
울것 같은 사람인데요.
That works. This was gorgeous.
여기 함성 소리가 저는 그때 뭔가 생각나네요.
근데 약간 이때 추면서 약간 어떤 느낌이었어? 왜냐면 나는 이거 볼 때 난 저지 입장이잖아.
네.
나는 왜냐면 이 노래 너무 좋아하니까 너무 잘 알아요. 이 노래. 그래서 재민이가 시작할 때
There's a certain degree of expectation.
것도 보통 이렇게 많이 하지. 이렇게 디테일하게 바이브레이션 주고, 그리고 재민이가 이 부분 말고 제가 16강 배틀 리뷰를 했었을 때도 거기에서 이 부분을 재미가 많이 해. 이거?
맞아요.
이 동작
Yes.
도 변함이 없어.
Yes. That's what makes Sarah stand out too, is her stability.
나는 개인적으로 샷톤 볼 때 이때 사람들 뭔가 할 거라고 예상을 때리잖아. 제가 터치를 주세요 하는 구간 중에 하나인데, 이거를 재민이가 그냥 손으로 그냥 밀어붙인다는 것 자체가 좀 확실히 과감했다.
이렇게 진짜 뭔가 너무 감정적인 노래는 10번 중에 한 번 와닿거든요. 배틀할 때 이 노래를 내가 소화를 하려고 뭔가 방법을 찾으면서 추는데, 이날은 처음엔 노래를 모르다가 이거다 하고 딱 알게 된 순간 진짜 갑자기 시작하는데 약간 준서형이랑 이렇게 마주보고 서 있는 게 너무 좋은 거예요. 왜냐면 저희가 일본을 한번 갔었는데 그때 숙소에서 그런 질문 많이 하잖아요. 너 누구랑 배틀해보고 싶어?
그치.
네, 제가 물어봤거든요, 준서형한테. 근데 형이 너 이런
Oh.
근데 그러고 바로 만났어요. 그러니까 그 상황이 너무 좋은 거죠. 그리고 여기에서 이제
It's a sign of respect too. When someone who's incredible is like, I want to battle you.
다 뭔가 함께하고 있는 느낌이 들어서 그냥 너무 좋았어요.
이때만큼은 노래가 약간 이런 스타일이어도 완전 빠져들 수 있었다.
너무 빠져들었고, 그래서 막 이렇게 해야지 저렇게 해야지 라는 생각이 아예 없이 그냥 제 몸이 가는 대로 나왔던 느낌이라서 너무 좋았던 것 같아요.
근데 또 이게 또 재민이가 안 하던 뮤직?
네, 맞아요.
내 기준에 좀
맞아요.
그래서 더 신선한 느낌? 진짜 좋았어.
Yeah, somebody else in the audience is like,
준서 울 뻔했어요.
ah.
그래서 이렇게 하늘을 보셨다.
You can't.
무게가 안 남겼어. 간다.
아 대망의.
Oh, we don't get to see James. I mean, that's fine, but I hope she brings every person on her freaking commentary. Come
이제
on.
안 거야? 아예 다행이다.
이 노래구나. 이러고.
근데 나는 너 했던 무비 중에 이거 제일 좋아해.
저도요.
그래? 야.
Fantastic.
저도 제가 한 거 중에 이게 제일 마음에 들어요.
이건 몇 점이야?
It was fantastic.
진짜 이거는
Fantastic on this one.
왜 나를 100점이냐면 재민이가 이런 노래를 춘다고? 일단 1번 그리고 2번 완전 다르게 풀었어. 그러니까 이런 노래 이런 식으로 풀겠지 라는 생각을 많이 하는데 이거는 약간 이런 식으로 풀겠지가 아니라 와 그냥 재민이네. 이게 너무 좋았어. 그리고 나는 이 노래가 옛날에 그 리뷰였니?
맞아요.
그러니까 저지쇼로 한번 했었던 노래였기 때문에 그거랑 좀 다르게 풀어야지 나한테 좀 더 신선함이 오지 않을까 했는데 그래서 완전 짱.
Oh, okay. She's already seen somebody body it and whacking.
비트가 없고 되게 소프트한 느낌의 강한 노래여서 좀 되게 선이나 좀 비워내는 부분도 많았던 것 같아서 2라운드는 무조건 채우죠.
Yeah, okay.
계획한 걸 좋아하는 사람으로서 뱉을 때 그래서 2라운드는 무조건 채우고
오케이.
무조건 에너지를 더 올려서 보여주자
나이스.
라고
Nice.
시작했던 것 같아요.
너무 잘해.
That makes sense.
너무 잘해.
I love hearing processes. I see it. Yeah.
깔끔하다 깔끔해. 저 등근육 맞아 맞아.
Yeah. Wow. Oh.
진짜 100점.
Oh, it's gorgeous. All he needs is a back tattoo.
진짜 괴로 같아.
Wow.
진짜 건강한 바가지 건강바. 술 완전 건강해.
간다!
와.
저는 저를 알잖아요. 지금 눈 돌아 있어요.
와. 멋있어 진짜 멋있어.
Yay!
이거 진짜 좋아. 그 에너지 안 남게 진짜 제가 진짜 이 거의 한 50cm 앞에 잡힌
그렇죠.
약간 여기서 보는데 여기 진짜 에너지 좋았어.
입을 왜 이렇게 벌리는 거죠?
리얼이다.
이건 진짜 뭔가 아예 빠져서 쳤던 거예요.
와 이게 한 5년 지나잖아? 더 엄청 난리 날 거야. 이 영상은 진짜 길이 나와.
누나가 아까 그랬었잖아요. 댓글에 뭔가 노래 얘기 많았다고.
Yes.
근데 저는 이번 라인업이 사실 노래가 다 좋았어요. 그 좋았다의 의미가 막 아는 노래에서 좋고 이런 느낌이라기보다 와킹 사이드 하면은 떠오르는 이미지가 있고 노래에 대한 이미지가
Yes.
저는 사실 그게 어떻게 보면 조금의 프레임이라고 생각도 들거든요. 그리고 저라는 댄서의 이미지에 어울리는 노래도 분명히 있다고 생각하는데
Yes.
그런 노래가 일단 아예 없었고
Yes.
근데 댄서들이 다 너무 잘해줬잖아요. 뭔가 이렇게 실험적인 노래나 와킹과는 거리가 조금 있는 노래가 나와도 댄서들이 막 당황하는 모습을 보이는 게 아니라
맞아요.
너무 잘해주니까
잘했지.
Okay, so no, I 1,000% agree with him here. Now, I will say this: there are a lot of instances where there are genres of battles that don't have that a lot of times they don't quite hit the mark on the DJ side. And so I'm really happy that at least with whacking they tend to be pretty consistent just on what I've been able to see. I'm not talking about like the Street Fighter franchise. We're not talking about that. But like just a lot of battle footage I've seen when in the whacking niche of things, they do a great job on the DJ side. So I feel they're in a place where approaching things in an unconventional way is going to help continue to elevate and grow the scene because there's respect in the DJ booth, right? And I think there's that because I know in popping it's been an issue where a lot of times poppers don't get to dance to tracks that fundamentally feel good to dance to. A lot of times it's too niche. And so that's just, I'm speaking more on just who I've heard colleague wise in the different communities. But I am curious about it in your neck of the woods. If you are a popper, what's it like on the DJ side for you? And I hadn't seen popping yet for the lineups and that will be very soon. So maybe I may be able to refine that later on, but I digress. My point being, I love the fact that we get to have this conversation and I like the fact that they appreciated it. Because at the end of the day, everyone there is a spectator. They're there. A lot of times whackers, when they battle, it's part of it's to entertain, but the judges, they're really trying to placate to their judges. And what I find really cool is that everybody who was working the event or participating in the event appreciated the choices because they understood the intention behind it. And I think that goes back to like, just like there's a certain degree of respect that people tend to need to have in order to be an adjudicator or in a judge position like in Waxy's case, because even she's, you know, won so much in so many different circuits, yet she still gets that, oh, she judged Sarah XYZ because they're in the same crew. Like, she's still going to get that till the day she dies. You know what I mean? And so I just think that it's really cool to be able to see what we got to experience here, and the fact that he is recognizing and he's vocalizing like this was a really good thing that happened, and I'm very appreciative of it, because I agree, I loved the entire structure of how the tracks were formatted for this competition.
와킹하는 사람들끼리도 영향을 많이 받았을 것 같고
맞아.
저는 또 좋았던 게 타장르 댄서분들이 와킹에 대한 그 편견이 조금 깨졌을 것 같다?
맞아.
되게 너무 타장르 음악들이 많이 나와버리고
맞아요.
하니까
응.
오히려 쟤네 이런 거에도 진짜 잘하네? 이랬었던
Yeah.
것 같아요.
맞아요. 그리고 이거 타장르 분들한테도 좀 들었는데 이 노래가 지금 나온다고? 그러니까 이렇게 말씀하신 분들도 꽤 있었어요. 위자드가 이렇게 플레이한 이유도 와킹이라고 해서 무조건 올드 디스코만 들어라 이것도
Thank
아니에요.
you.
이번에는 좀 더 2000년대와 함께 어울리는, 그리고 전체적인 멜로디를 보면은 드라마와 굳이 가사가 없어도 우리가 좀 더 스토리텔링을 할 수 있다 이런 것도 보여주고 싶었기 때문에 이렇게 초이스를 했고, 거기에 맞춰서 재민이도 짐도 자기 스타일을 너무 잘했다.
맞아요.
Yes.
이 4강
I agree with that 1000%. And also, if you think of it this way, whenever you play an unconventional song, it puts everybody on an even playing field. Because if you play a disco track, there's so many different subgenres that you end up hearing that can be played in the BPMs, can be slightly modified, or the familiarity of certain tonal colors encompassed in that said track. It's going to be somebody's niche or bread or butter depending on who they're against. But if you play a track like Golden Hour, both people are going to be like, we got to just, you know, go for it. And you're both at a disadvantage. And I kind of feel like that, to me, I feel like that's an even playing field on a battle, especially if it's a 2-rounder. Why not have one of the rounds be an experiment like that, you know? So I think that was just so cool. I felt like a different person at the end of watching all these rounds.
사실 제일 만족스러운 게 아까 말씀드렸던 그 저의 이미지가
맞아요.
얘 이런 것도 진짜
맞아요.
잘하네? 이렇게 딱 깨진 느낌이라서
맞아.
진짜 만족스러워.
여러분 댓글에 어떤 댓글이 있었냐면
10회간부터 쭉 재미는 어울리지 않을 듯한 노래들 만났는데 대반전. 이번 시즌에는 음악 스펙트럼 너무 넓다는 걸 증명하러 온 듯.
예스. 찬양 안 하고 싶은데 이거 보고 그냥 재민댐.
재민 감사합니다.
자, 이렇게 해서 저는 재민이의 손을 들었습니다. 일단은 결승전 하기 전에 마리드랑 몇 번 붙었어?
아마 전체로 따지면 20번
와우.
붙은 것 같아요.
우와.
더 될 수도 있어요.
진짜 대단해.
It's amazing.
그리고 마리드도 예전에 우승한 전적이 있고
맞아요.
재민이도 우승한 전적이 있으니까
That's crazy.
진짜 하고 싶은 거지.
맞아요. 근데 라인업에서 만난 거 처음이에요.
아 그래?
옛날에 오픈 스타일에서 한 번 만난 적 있는데 그때는 영상 안 보셨으면 좋겠고요. 그때
띄워주세요. 띄워주세요.
Editor, can you add that clip? Oh my god, I love it.
단기 호응도 없고 이 올해가 좀 재미없다라는 사람들이 좀 몇 명 있었거든요. 근데 좀 재미없다라고 생각하는 이유가 노래가 무난하고 우리가 댄싱적으로 풀면은 도파민이라기보다는 댄싱이니까 전체적 플로우를 신경 써서 춤을 추잖아. 이게 더 어려워요, 솔직히 말하면. 그러니까 춤이 빵빵빵빵 드르륵 빵은 진짜 쉽지.
맞아요.
그 속에서 계속 뭐 리듬 연결하면서 아이솔레이션 들어가고 시선 들어가고 밸런스 들어가는 게 진짜 어려운 건데 그거를 여기서 진짜 잘 보여줬어.
맞아요.
그래서 보면은 호응이 그닥 안 커도 저지들 이 퀄리티가 진짜
그쵸.
높다는 걸 아는 거야.
Bingo. Because who gets to call the shots? It's not dancer style. It's the judges. Three people.
이 댄서의 춤이 보이는 느낌인 것 같은데 내가 해야 되는 노래 있잖아요. 내가 길을 다 찾아가야 되고 0부터 100까지 내가 다 만들어가야 되는 음악일 경우에는 댄서의 춤이 너무 잘 보여서
Yeah.
누나 말씀대로 퀄리티가 진짜 높아져요.
맞아. 그리고 여기서 첫 라운드에서 이 노래 나왔다는 것 자체가 위자드가 그거를 좀 생각하지 않았을까? 라는 생각도 해요.
맞아요.
근데 나는 이 노래 디테일하게 다 알고 있었어, 재민은?
저는 한 90 정도는 알고 있었어요.
그럼 꽤 아는 거네.
He bodied the finals. He was incredible in the finals. Wow.
와, 근데 내가 이때 라운드 보고 좀 느낀 거 있어.
오, 뭐예요?
재민이가 점점 디스코야. 재민이의 특징이 팔이 너무 화려하니까 기본 키 자체가 좀 테크니컬함을 보이는 댄서 중에 한 명인데 그거를 굳이 안 해도 그냥 포즈에서 그냥 골반만 살짝 흔들리고 워킹만 해도 이제 거기서 그냥
Stage presence is top tier.
정말 진짜 디스코 같다?
Yeah.
아, 근데 여기 좀 별로예요.
I understand that.
마이너스야?
네, 마이너스 20점.
I get that. I get that.
근데 봐봐. 아니 그래도 그래도 여기 내려왔잖아. 그럼 너 생각했을 때 여기서 마이너스였다 생각해. 하잖아. 근데 나는 뭐가 되냐면 여기서 킥거리고 돌아가는.
아,
이건 어때? 난 이거 너무
이건
좋았는데.
좋았어요.
어.
이건 좋았어요.
너무 매끄러워. 바닥에서 도는 게.
Whee! The suspension.
제니가 무대를 참 잘 써. 이것저것.
Yeah.
진짜 와킹은 그런 매력인 것 같아. 이런 느낌을 줬을 때 같이 느낄 수가 있어.
아, 맞아요.
일단은 느낌을 전달력이 진짜 너무 좋아, 재민이도. 신난다. 행복하다.
진짜 긴장 하나도 안 된 사람.
진짜
너무 행복했어요.
좋다.
아, 이제 대망의.
자, 대망의 여러분 노래 나오는데 이거 한번 끊고 설명을 드리겠습니다. 자, 이 노래가 어떤 노래냐면요. 저는 솔직히 말할게요. 위자들을 많이 만났어요. 이 주에. 근데 그때 나한테 스포를 하나 했어. 누나, 이번에 내가 비트를 하나 만들었는데요. 했는데 내가 살짝 들었어. 그때는 이 정도로 완성된 거 아니야.
진짜요?
데모 정도였는데 와 노래 너무 정겨. 야 미쳤다 이거 꼭 틀자 했는데 나는 그거를 까먹고 있었어. 그러다
와우.
나온 거지. 그러니까 한마디로 뭐냐면 여기 있는 사람들이 다 처음 본 거야.
1,500명이 다 처음 듣는 날.
그거 정말 대단한 게 그거를 해낸 게 또 말이 있고
와우.
거기다가 이제 또 후공으로 치시잖아요.
맞아요.
아 근데 이게 노래가 너무 좋아요. 일단은 한번 들어보시죠.
I love it.
초작부터 이미
근데 앞에 누나 너무 나가지고 제가 채우면은 뭔가 똑같아 보일 것 같아서.
근데 처음에는 얘가 살짝 큰 거구나.
네.
와 근데
너무 잘 얻어 걸렸다, 그쵸?
Yeah.
모르는 노래니까 음악을
It's a little bit of luck. A little bit of luck.
이상하게 이
Some educated guessing happening here.
걸렸어?
노래랑 너무 잘 얻어 걸리는 거예요.
야 그것도 연습을 되니까
그래,
연습이
그렇죠.
되어 왔으니까 걸리는 거지.
근데 진짜
I agree with
너무
that.
얻어 걸렸다.
와 잠깐.
So let me explain that a little bit further. So part of it is like he has to educated guess, just like in my case sometimes too. I educatedly guess how things will rank in a competition format on the shows that we watch here, right? And I have to look at the politics side of things and the logistics and the objectiveness XYZ. So, but when you think about it from a dancer lens, I know in my lens as a waiver, whenever you want to maintain flow and when you're encountering a track that you're unfamiliar with, something that you learn exposing yourself by not only being uncomfortable in risk-taking in your choices, whether it's your genre in which you practice, the actual tracks, it can also be the techniques. You may finally be diving into a certain niche of style or texture or syncopation or polyrhythm that you may be struggling with or that you want to refine in practice, because these guys are incredible technicians and artists. And they have to, what we're seeing are just snapshots of what they do in their day-to-day. They have consistency in play. They have to practice these things often to trial and error it so they know how to trial and error it on stage in the battles. Because he has to make do with what he has. As strategic as he can be, he still has to, troubleshoot a track, which is what you're seeing here. You're diving into his process of how he's making his choices. And he said, I got really lucky on it. For a track you've never heard before, that's when your pattern maker gets fired up. It's because you have to survive off of that to help with some of the calls that are going to be made. You know the context of your DJ, which is wizard. You know the niche of the style is going to be more that disco, right? More funk. And so some of your choices, some of how you sit in some of your postures are other overlapping how you normally train in that genre, which is why it's important to really expand your discography on what you train in, not just what you're comfortable in, but all genres. Even if you don't like it, you may be surprised in what you learn about yourself. But all of this to say, JEMIN, what he was able to demonstrate is how much of an ear he has to be able to calibrate his movement to the track even with never hearing it before, because there's always going to be patterns or things that make the track have a sense of familiarity to it but have some really nice interruptions. And that's where the risk-taking comes in, is he has to kind of gauge out, based off of Marid, that's the benefit of him going second, is that he got to hear how the patterns and how the interruptions took place and how the syncopation was into integrated in the track. Mare did not have that. And so she had a really experimental time. But my point is he has to apply that very quickly in a split second and calibrate it to his overall movement quality, but make it to where it's manageable on this type of track. So props to him. I love whenever a technician does it and it works, and I love it when it works in their favor because it can be such a it's an adrenaline rush, and it makes you feel really good and feel in it, you know? So I'm glad that worked. Yeah.
야 진짜 이거 보고 진짜 진짜 아니
So cute.
걸린 거야 안 얻어 걸린 거야?
아 여기부터는 이제 음악이 이제 패턴이
Yeah,
있으니까 음악
see?
그 장르마다 딱 이제 바뀔 때다.
바뀔 때라고 느낀 거지
흐름이 이제
일단.
바뀐다를 이제
Bingo.
이거는 알고 있으니까
What did I just say?
이제 바뀐다. 왕
Yep.
으아 이렇게
Yep.
바꾼 것 같아.
와 너무 잘 바꿨다.
And that is exactly what you see with Oh-chun as well. That's why he's really good at musicality. That's such a good area to train in.
이런 거야 이런 거.
I love Marit's outfit so much.
예를 들어서 보면 와 바꿔까지 누구나 다 해. 근데 여기서 와 바꿔 뛰어. 와 하고 이제 바꾸게 이렇게 바꾸면 무조건 허리가 뒤로 가. 하고 여기서 바꿔 가다가
Yeah.
바꿔. 그러니까 이게 전환 체인지가
음.
감량 레벨 조절이 같이 들어. 그러다가 근데 항상 그 원에 가서 이 슬로우로 걸어.
Yeah, little speed change accent.
진짜.
Yes.
너무 멋있어, 너무 멋있어. 간지나, 간지. 왜 이렇게 빨리 끝났어?
그쵸,
Yeah, that felt really fast.
그런데 여러분, 공놀이죠. 와커는
It is
끝나지
not.
누나 가면 그
I love they said.
아니
아니 그냥 누나가 다니까 간 거야?
저는 지금 나가는데 엄청 오래 걸렸거든요. 이미 도착했어요. 뭐 하는 사람인지 진짜 대단해.
대단한 사람이야.
Oh, yes.
이러다가 이제 제가 말을 했어요. 누나 너무 힘들어요. 누나 빨리 끝내자. 이러면 끝난 거예요.
Yep.
똑같지 않아요?
I think.
둘 다 무슨
Yeah, it's so good.
무슨 그러니까 혼자서 시상식이야. 나 배틀이 아니라.
I love Waxy's fit.
모르겠어요 갑자기.
진짜 멋있는 사람들 어쩜 이래? 여기서 여러분 정말 궁금해하셨던 거 하나 있을 거예요. 머리가 이 많은 재민이 영상 보시면 아시겠지만 한 돌도 머리가 움직이지.
Very
내가
ballroom.
저번에 들었을 때는 거의 뭐 행사 2번 하면 그냥 스프레이를
와우.
아 누나 행사 한 번에
한 번에
통이에요.
끝나?
네. 그래서 저는 라인업 4일이었거든요.
어.
그래서 4통을 사갔어요. 그래서 다 쓰고 왔어요. 여자는 머리가 기니까 이게 쫙 묶고 여기 쫙 하면은 아예 고정되잖아요.
그쵸?
근데 남자는 머리가 짧으니까 이렇게 해도 지지대가 없는 거예요. 그래서 땀나면 이렇게 되고 저는 이
Does he use
하나에 예민해져가지고 춤을 못 춰요.
완벽해서 그래.
그러니까 3시간이 걸리는 거예요.
박수 쳐.
And he styles it
그래서
too.
몇 년째
Oh,
하고 있습니다. 너무 힘들어요.
it is.
당연히 뭐 다른 장르도 마찬가지 하겠지만 와커가 준비를 오지기 진짜 많이 오래 걸려요. 그러니까 이런 와커들의 노력이 정말 많다는 것을
맞아요.
좀 더 많이 알아주시면 와커들의 더 대단함을 더 잘 느끼실 수도
진짜요.
있고, 그리고 예전 그 시즌 전부터 보면 알겠지만 이 메이크업도 많은 변화가 생겼습니다.
아 맞아요.
음.
갈수록 연해지고 있어요 지금. 저는 그런 거 진짜 좋아해요. 옛날의 나를 깨는 거. 춤으로도 그렇고 비주얼로도 그렇고. 왜냐면 저는 댄서도 이미지가 엄청 중요하다고 생각하는데
Yeah.
저도 약간 성향이 하나 꽂히면 그것만 하는 스타일이에요. 그래서 의상도 딱 자기한테 핏되는 게 있으면 그것만 사입던 스타일이었는데 그런
I
게
relate
몇
to
년
that.
전에 영상을 보면 다 비슷해 보이는 거예요. 너무 지겨우니까 춤도 변한 것 같지 않고
Mm.
그래서 이제는 진짜 머리도 엄청
So that's a very interesting thing he's talking about. So there is, whenever I was taking my course on music cognition, we were touching on. There's a particular section of it that has to deal with when you learn information. A lot of times, whenever there's a part of your brain, it's it's one of your lobes. My apologies for not knowing just at the top of my head here. My lobes are there. Anyway, but what he's referencing is whenever you are learning information in a very particular like specific environment wearing a very similar fit, you're gonna get similar results, or like how your brain is set up. It's like you're training it to create habits within that particular setting. So for me, I always tell my dancers, because I work in studios, and studios that have like heavy ballet, jazz background, and the uniforms for those are leotard and tight, so very form-fitting material. And so for me, I make a dress code in my personal street styles classes to try to avoid wearing outfits that they would wear in other genres, because I want them to train and not have those subconscious choices that they are training in those classes start to infiltrate in the street styles class, because it's already going to be happening. But what you wear can influence how you feel. And that's a perfect example. Having a ballet dancer wear a leotard and baggy pants, they're still going to have a sense of awkwardness because they're still wearing that leotard, because they've trained X amount of hours learning how to hold themselves in a particular posture in their ballet attire in the environment. So that's why I always try to say, literally go to like your local thrift shop, wear clothes that are too big for you, and like really make it look like you just woke up. Like, it's kind of what I tell them sometimes, because it's so different than what they normally wear. And I've seen some decent results with that, because it's allowed them to kind of break out of their go-to mentality that they have whenever they're in other styles. And so that's kind of what we're seeing symptom-wise here, is that his body, because of what fit well, his style was going to is subconsciously influenced off of what he's wearing. Because if you have fringe, some of your choices are going to accent differently. Your textures are going to look different because of that textile being influenced in the space on the timing. And, so I like the fact that he says, I'm experimenting with hairstyle, with makeup, with costuming, because that allows him to therefore be able to experiment with the music. And that's another instance too, and experiment with his movement quality in the space, because he's wearing something different, right? Now, the downside would be if he's training and he, like, the first time he ever wears a fit is like the day of a battle, he could operate at a disadvantage because it's going to feel unfamiliar, right? And then you have that on top of unfamiliar tracks that can set you more at a disadvantage without realizing it. So that's really cool that he's talking about this, because there is a scientific backing that has been explored with our brains and how we process information and how we learn things. And it does tie into the familiarity in which we wear outfits. That's why like certain shoes feel better to dance in than others. That's why wearing a ball cap versus wearing your hair down, or wearing earrings or not, or having your nails done or not. Like for me, I feel more feminine, or I feel like my choices in my hands are subtly different because I have like longer nails than just these nubs. Do you know what I mean? It's so subtle, but it's really cool that we're talking about this.
엄청 다양하게 많이 막 깎다가 내렸다가 어쩌고 했다가 막 이렇게 많이 하고, 저 원래 이런 사람이 아닌데, 근데 저 보여드리고 싶은 짤이 하나 있어요.
야, 얘 진짜 데빌이다.
얘는 진짜 말 못 걸어요.
나도 무서워서 말 못 걸어, 얘는.
이번에 라인 진짜 많이 느꼈는데, 주변 사람들이 너무 대단해.
It was so amazing to watch.
누나도 그렇고 참가했던 모든 사람도 그렇고, 이 라인업도 대단하고, 결과가 좋아서 대단해 보이는 게 아니라 한결같아서.
진짜.
그 마음가짐이, 저는 뭐 예를 들어 이번에 라인업 1등 해도 내년 라인업 10 오면 다시 초기화 될 것 같거든요. 나 1등 한 거 아니고 너무 잘하고 싶어. 그 정도로 마음이 늘 한결같고, 누나도 그러실 것 같고, 제가 봤을 때 다 그런 사람들이어서 한결 같은 게 진짜 어려운데,
어렵죠.
계속 해외 나가면서 배틀도 참가하고 심사도 보고 막 이게 너무 대단한 것 같았어요. 그래서 꾸준히가 중요하거든요.
맞습니다. 꾸준히가 중요해요. 존버가 짱입니다, 여러분. 진짜 존버하세요.
맞아요. 단 한 번에.
What did I say? Consistency. It's not just doing it one time. It's about not just the quality of your training, but the consistency in doing it often. That's just whenever you want to truly learn something, don't cram it in a day. Study it over an extended period of time, and it's naturally going to be a part of your lived life. It's going to become implicit, which means it's something subconscious you don't have to think about. We also call it muscle memory. And that's what a lot of times they have to operate from in order for us to be able to see and pursue other risk-taking, because you can't think about the fundamentals but also try to understand the musicality that you're going for and troubleshoot and make educated guesses. That's too much for your brain to handle in 35 seconds, 45 seconds. So you have to let your body trust the technique it's been given, but if you don't allow it the time to troubleshoot and trial and error through that technique, because no one was perfect night and day, like it didn't take just one night to do this. It took them years, to fail, to grow, to be extended grace, to be mentor, to mentor, right? Sometimes teaching helps you be able to learn things better because you have to know how to articulate it. And I know that in my case, I've learned more as a teacher than I was as a student for myself. And so that's why I always love being able to do these things and like have a listening ear because I feel like I get to be a better teacher in the process. But all that to say, like, they're absolutely right. I told you that too. It is so much easier said than done, because what it means to be consistent is you have to do it even when you don't want to. And a lot of times people, that's their kind of fine line. They're like, I'll do it only when I want to. Then you're never going to get better to the degree that you want to be better, because you have to accept the fact that you're not where you want to be and train in that for a while. And you may get better without realizing that you're getting better, but learning how to be content in your journey. Because there's a lot of people who only care about the end result, with like the JEMIN's final. Like, they only care, if he only cared about his end result, then the journey would not mean anything and he wouldn't be enjoying the process. And that's kind of, honestly, you're going to live in the journey more than the result, way more. So why not enjoy it, right? I love the fact that they're touching on this because it is so important. And I hope that I'm reiterating it within my niche of choreography. This is just, as a human, you need to be consistent in it if you want to get better at it. That's just plain and simple. Doesn't mean you have to be good immediately. That's not the point. You can't get good if you don't take the time to troubleshoot it and learn how to walk within it, right? So it's cool. Thank you. A single win isn't everything.
자, 여러분, 이렇게 해서 재민이의 배틀을 리뷰가 끝이 났는데요. 이번 리뷰는 춤뿐만 아니라 재민이의 뭐 의상이라든지 메이크업,
Thank you, JEMIN.
비하인드 스토리.
I learned more about you today. Thank you, thank you.
댓글에 재민이를 꼭 불러달라는 댓글이 진짜 많았고, 그리고 이제 저는 방송을 출연했으니까 다들 저를 아는 건 당연하다고 생각을 하지만, 방송을 출연을 안 했는데도 불구하고 이렇게 사람들을 계속 불러달라는 거는 정말 어마무시하다. 또 재민이한테 연락했지만 재민이가 또 흔쾌히 바로 오케이를 해줘가지고 와줘서 감사하다고 말씀드리고 싶고요. 그리고 진짜 앞으로 더 재민이는 더 활활 날아다니고 앞으로 더 많은 활동을 할 예정이오니 계속 재민이 많은 사랑과, 그리고 궁금하시면은 재민이 A-Star 팔로우에서 어마무시한 오시기 바랍니다. 여러분 알죠? 저희들만 좋아해 주는 것도 아니고 와커들 많이 좋아해 주시고, 앞으로 저희 스트릿 댄스씬 더 많이 사랑해 주시고, 그리고 앞으로도 저희 더 많은 관심과 사랑 부탁드리겠습니다.
I mean, you'll see me here.
이번 리뷰는 여기서 끝이 내도록 하겠습니다. 그럼 안녕. 빠이 뿅.
Cute. Oh, so fun. Loved it. It was great. You know what's even awesomer is more awesome is I've already taken a look at these commentaries as well. So I love being able to be an extra degree of commentary on top of watching stuff with you guys. I've had you guys tell me that. They're like, I'm so happy I get 3 different pieces of content to look at. I love the fact that I'm a contributor to your viewing, because that means that there must be something that I'm bringing to the table that is beneficial to people, you know, and I don't take credit for that. That's all glory to God for that, for the fact that I'm even able to articulate even a tenth of what I'm able to talk about. A lot of that comes from just the grace that's been extended to me in my life. So I thank God for that, but also I think the fact that Waxy has these, so I get to continue to refine and improve my perspective. So when I continue to look at whacking battles, I have a better understanding from somebody who judges them and who lives in them with a behind the scenes look on how she looks and views and what she looks for in things. It helps me be a better layman in the battle scene, but also whenever I see whacking and choreography, I'm able to kind of understand what are some things that we see in the battle scene that we want to have translated over into the choreography to maintain the integrity of the style of what makes it authentic in battles, right? So I digress. This was super fun. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. If you want to see my entire reaction to the lineup 9 whacking rounds, I have that. I'll try to put it on one of these little ending screen moments. Also, I've taken a look at Waxy in her time on Street Woman Fighter Season 2, the whole shebang. I've taken a look at her choreography and her time with Mana Queen, and I've seen her do some battles with Red Bull Dancer Style, as well as the whole shebang with Olchan. I think that's super dope as well. I've not met Waxy in real life, but I have met Olchan in real life, so it's super cool to, at least with some of the individuals that we're seeing in her videos, I've had physical interaction with, which I think is super cool because they are real people and they definitely are ones who have skin in the game, who really care about the craft, and you can see it through their genuine responses to people in the comments. And I love the fact that she's being honest whenever she brings up a tough, challenging comment, because it allows me to help back her and support her for where I am in the scope that I'm coming from as well. So once again, my name is Jess, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.